Hey y'all, it's Sharon and I'm back to share another idea on how we better policing here in the US. If you're new to the channel, I'm a retired detective. I worked for 20 years for a southeastern city in the US and I was also in the military. I'm sharing ideas, thoughts, experiences, opinions on how we could better policing here in the US on an individual, starting with the individual, starting with myself. And so I share my ideas on some of the things that I went through and saw and witnessed and heard while I was being ostracized and retaliated against for whistleblowing. I share a lot of the second time I had to whistleblow. So, with that being said, last week I shared ideas on putting out bulletins with things for the kids, the neighborhood stuff, the arrests that were generated, and things like that. But this week I want to share we need a whole, not a unit, but within the unit of community policing, we need a group that specifically targets, I shouldn't use that word target, specifically serves seniors. And the reason why I say that, I'll tell you a little story. There was one particular beat that I had for a couple of months, and it was a high concentration of seniors. And so I would get calls like locked out of the house or can't find keys. One particular time, an alarm was going off. I pull up, I can hear the alarm going off. I walk up to the door, I'm looking, nothing seems out of place. But the front door was a screen door, and the actual wooden door was open. So I could see through the house, and I could see an older man raking. So I go to the back and I'm knocking on the fence, trying to look over the fence and get his attention. I finally get his attention, walk around to the front, and he opens the door and I'm talking to him and he's like, let me get my ears. Let me get my ears. He tells me to ask me to come in. I go in, looking around, making sure ain't nothing going on wrong. And then he puts his ears in, the hearing aid in, and he says, oh, and he could hear the alarm blaring. So he turns the alarm off. He said, you must be here, because I was like, yes. I said, everything all right? He was like, yeah. He offered me lemonade, coffee. He was like, you want to sit down and get something to drink, get off your feet for a little bit? No, I'm good. So I just want to make sure you were good. And so we're talking, and I could tell he wants to talk. So I asked him how long had he been there. He said he'd been in Atlanta. He'd been there for like 92 years, because he was 92 years old. And so he told me about some of the projects that he helped build around the city and things like that. And he was flirting too, because he was like, I didn't know such and such, Chief such and such raised them up like this, the older folks, they got some words, some game for you. But yeah, he just wanted to talk. There was another time a older lady, senior, called, and she was hearing things. And she said somebody's walking around in her attic. I went up there and checked, nothing there. I asked her if she had family. I called her, I think it was her niece. And, I was telling her that, the calls are coming more frequently, that she's hearing things and stuff like that. And so this lady didn't have anybody, because the family lived so far away. The older gentleman that I talked about, his family, most of them were gone, and it was just him. And I found that to be the case with, let's just say there were 20 seniors on the beat that I went to houses. Probably 16, 17 of them lived by themselves and had nobody, didn't have a family member close. And so I think if we build a unit within community policing that just directly goes out and just knocks on the door, see how they're doing. If they need food, we could get them food pantry stuff. If something's going on in the house that's not working, we could direct them to another, somebody that can help with that. There were a couple of veterans that were living by themselves and needed help. So I think if we generated a unit that could help seniors with specific situations, or sometimes just invite them out, tell them where a bingo game is being held, or this is going on, downtown. I think the seniors, that they would enjoy that, or somebody that can just go and check on them. And I'll leave it at that. But yeah, a unit specifically that serves seniors, I think, is needed in community policing. Tell me what you think. You can comment down below, like, subscribe. And Here, my book. Let me show you my book. Here's my book. My Middle Eastern Conflict, Looking Back at My Future. Check out the stick figure. It's on lulu.com, lulu.com. It's $15. I talk about, I put more into this about the retaliation and the ostracism that I faced after whistleblowing, and some of the things that I realized about myself and identity. I put that all in the book. And if you're a Christian, I would suggest read part 3 first and then go back and read the beginning of the book. And with that being said, yeah, community policing, a unit that just services seniors. That's what's needed. And I'll come back next week with another idea. As is our tradition, you don't necessarily have to go through a thing to learn from it. Talk to you later. Bye.